By 1947, Berlin was reduced to a skeleton of stone and twisted metal. The war was over, but the Allied occupation authorities still had one final piece of business to attend to. They drafted Control Council Law No. 46. This document bypassed the government and the military. It formally mandated the execution of a sovereign state. With a few strokes of a pen, Prussia ceased to exist. The Allied Control Council viewed the Prussian state as the institutional engine of German aggression. Law No. 46 explicitly labeled the territory a bearer of militarism and reaction, asserting that peace in Europe was impossible while its political structures remained intact. This execution was physical. Prussia's vast eastern territories were shattered. The land was carved up, absorbed into Poland and the Soviet Union, and permanently wiped from the map of Germany. This total erasure marked the end of a state that had once been the geographic heart of Central Europe, a state that began as an impoverished, scattered sandbox. In the 1600s, Prussia was a series of disconnected, small territorial blobs. It was fractured, impoverished, and highly vulnerable. Geography had made it the sandbox of the Holy Roman Empire, an easy target for every neighboring power. To survive, the ruling Hohenzollern dynasty struck a hard bargain. They forged a pact with the land-owning aristocrats known as the Junkers. The monarchy gave the Junkers unquestioned control over the peasants on their estates. In exchange, the state demanded absolute, unwavering loyalty to the crown. To mobilize that loyalty, the state funneled resources into a permanent standing army, eventually consuming 80%. The state's priorities had effectively flipped. In the 18th century, the military wasn't an organ of the government. The government functioned as the administrative wing of the officer corps. That system held strong until 1806, when Napoleon's forces utterly crushed the Prussian military machine at the battles of Jena and Auerstadt. Instead of folding to French dominance, the humiliation triggered an aggressive internal overhaul. The leadership instituted mass conscription, opened elite officer schools, and streamlined their entire command structure. They successfully engineered a modernized national identity rooted entirely in military discipline. Honor, sacrifice, and war defined the new Prussian citizen. By the mid-19th century, Otto von Bismarck possessed the most advanced, highly tuned military machine in Europe, and he knew exactly how to use it. The Prussian army rapidly rolled through Denmark, crushed Austria, and decisively defeated France, absorbing more territory with every victory. In 1971, these conquests culminated in the German Empire, but Prussia held the reins as its undisputed overlord. Prussia had unified the German-speaking people by force. In doing so, it infused the entirety of the new empire with its own deeply ingrained militaristic identity. Fueled by decades of unbroken military success, the German Empire marched headlong into the 20th century, armed with an aggressive overconfidence. This Prussian identity, built on total obedience and the glorification of combat, outlived the emperors. It provided the cultural foundation for the massive, choreographed parades of the 1930s, where the state once again demanded the individual be fully consumed by the military machine. Which brings us back to Berlin in 1947. The Allies reached a grim consensus. Simply defeating the German army in battle would never be enough. The underlying institutional culture of Prussia had to be dismantled. They physically erased Prussian heritage. The historic Junker estates were plundered and burned. Königsberg, the ancient capital and birthplace of the kingdom, was reduced to rubble and handed over to the Soviet Union. The human cost of this erasure was immense. An estimated 10 million ethnic Prussians were expelled from their ancestral homes and forced westward, dispersing the population entirely. The same rigid structures designed to ensure a vulnerable territory survived eventually convinced the world it was too dangerous to exist. Law 46 didn't just end a government, it closed a 300-year experiment in total militarization.